A few days ago, we published a video on what had been, at the time, the largest acquisition in gaming history. That deal, which of course was done by Take-Two, was $12.6 billion. Today, though, a little bit bigger, because Microsoft, have acquired, or are in the process of acquiring, Activision-Blizzard for $68 billion. That is a lot of money. And this eventually is going to mean that Activision-Blizzard will be a business division of Microsoft. And if we take a look at the gaming leadership team, well, there's Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer is Bobby Kotick's, he's the guy Bobby reports to.
Yep.
So Bobby is no longer the boss.
Nope.
He is no longer the boss. And this is just, I think, going to be an incredibly impactful thing for the industry. Microsoft do business in a very, very, very different way to Activision-Blizzard. And a lot of that is because of incentives. Activision-Blizzard, obviously, third-party publisher. So what? You know, they're more about short-term money, trying to keep their stock good. Microsoft, though, they're a platform holder. They have more financial incentives to play that long game. And especially in recent times, they've demonstrated a renewed interest in niche content. One of the things that we thought was very telling was that StarCraft was remembered. You'd sometimes think, oh, that doesn't exist. And of course, then we think about Microsoft treating Age of Empires well.
Yep.
You think about Microsoft doing everything with Flight Sim. Not to speak bad of Flight Sim, it's brilliant, but that's obviously not going to be a big multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Their strategy so far has been, relatively speaking, almost the genre or even like subculture divide and conquer. And that's what, what we've been saying very much leads to long-term success. That's exactly where Activision Blizzard have been going wrong, in that they've been chasing the short-term success, largely speaking, and that's clearly backfired on them, especially recently. But, with Xbox kind of guiding them a little bit closer, are we to expect a StarCraft Age of Empires? Probably.
Well, I bloody hope so. Now, to continue on through things, so this all came out via a few press releases. It's a funny situation where it was a rumor, and then 9 minutes later it was confirmed news.
Yeah.
They also announced that Game Pass has got more than 25 million subscribers, so there's that. And obviously this is going to be a humongous play for Game Pass, where Microsoft are going to be putting as much as they can from the Activision Blizzard catalog into it. Then, of course, we've got Activision-Blizzard's statement, which, to be honest with you, these statements, they're basically just all of the stuff you usually expect, now that, of course, in current year, the word Metaverse is sprinkled throughout all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could kind of look at that in general, where every company that's big is going to look into Metaverse stuff, because obviously they are whatever. But the only thing to take from, like, the language they used overall was that even though all of this, like, it's great IP, it's great content, it's, 10,000 developers, all that stuff's really good for them, but the one through line was the cloud. And as much as I hear that and go, oh, what the fuck ever, I don't care, it is very much a strong approach for them, or something they're very, very focused on.
So I can give you an anecdote here about the cloud, about it actually having a legitimate use case. So, pretty good example. I go back home, go there with my girlfriend. She doesn't have a gaming PC. We both want to play Guild Wars. GeForce Now comes in. Bam. There we go. Whole bunch of games, like, I mean, she regularly is playing, like, Moonlighters, like another game as well, via Game Pass Ultimate. And yes, obviously there is the lag, but for the games that aren't completely tanked by the input latency, it does end up being a pretty viable experience. So, it's one of those things. I'm never going to use it.
Yeah.
I'm always going to have a capable gaming machine in and around me, but there's a lot of people who aren't that, and I mean, it is a fantastic deal if you can deal with the performance.
Yeah.
So all of this is just humongous long-term strategies. That's basically the read here, and I think this means that for people who like Blizzard's games, or say Activision's games, I actually think it almost certainly means good things. It's one of the things with Microsoft is that they had this era where they were basically taught pretty painful lessons.
Very painful ones.
Yeah, they fucked everything up. They damaged a bunch of studios, damaged a bunch of IP. Spencer comes in. He inherits an utter shit show. And seemingly, we're at one of the... I mean, really, this is probably going to be one of the major accomplishments of his career. Getting a deal like this across the line, which, by the way, hasn't happened yet. And, hello, antitrust. But I think this all obviously falls within the strategy that Phil Spencer's leadership has been pushing. And it's been a successful one. And it's an interesting one that does actually mean that the likes of you and me, the best console to own is a PS5. Because I will get the full Microsoft experience on this. And then I can get a PS5 for all those Sony exclusives. But there's one thing that came up in our discussion before we hit the live button. Sony competes, right, via brilliant, maybe 20 to 100 hour experiences.
Yeah.
Microsoft has just acquired a bunch of 1,000-hour games, 5,000-hour games, or franchises like Call of Duty where people just play them every single year and that's that. Microsoft owned Warzone. Microsoft are now a world leader in the MMORPG space.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, so these are all the sorts of games that Sony just doesn't have.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that works really well for Sony in that is that the third-party kind of, even like the longer games, they always, from a third-party perspective, kind of bulk out to the PS5 and like what a Sony person will be playing a lot of the time. Because obviously you're not going to play God of War for a whole year. I mean, maybe you are, but you're likely going to be in the relative minority. So without any of that, then you have to think, well, who's going to buy a PS5 now? And you're like, oh, well, the prospects just kind of disappeared in a lot of the way. So if you're the kind of person where the PS5 is going to be the only thing in your house, then you've just had, assuming that they don't publish their games on PlayStation platforms, which they very, very well might still, but might not. You know, if Call of Duty's not there and you play Call of Duty, then you've been removed from the list of people who will just go buy Ghost of Tsushima or God of War, because you're first and foremost in there for the Call of Duty, and then you're kind of buying the Sony games because they're cool.
Phil just squeezed one out in your chest.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Just like a big shit on your investment in that PS5.
Yep.
If it goes that way, but certainly there's people who will have bought a PS5 and they'll be thinking, oh, I remember surviving Skyrim on my PS3. And they've always been a Sony person. They've played the multiplats, and they probably ended up being quite disappointed that the upcoming Bethesda Game Studio stuff's not going to be there on the console that they wanted. Yep. They'll need a PC or they'll need an Xbox. We'll have more to talk about when we kind of go through the news bit and we talk about basically what's the rub for like all of us as consumers.
Yeah.
So for other things, I suppose then, like, it is just funny, the whole 12.7 billion for Zynga, and then that just gets absolutely demolished. Yep. A little bit there learning about Game Pass and its size. We then, of course, have the stock for Activision-Blizzard. Last I checked, it was at about 86, which it's not back to its highs. Its highs were like, I think, 104, 105, if memory serves. But it's going in the right direction.
For a change.
You know, all the damage is undone. Happy, happy. We'll get into that aspect, too, because it was so awkward. And listening to that investor call was so awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, here's a nice little list. Activision-Blizzard is over double their previous largest acquisition, which, of course, was LinkedIn. Yeah. I mean, wow, right? I remember following so much of the tech space about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, and the Nokia story being so big. And yes, inflation has happened since then, but this deal completely blows it out of the water, even adjusting for inflation.
Yeah.
It's wild. As for what this means for Activision-Blizzard then, well, they're just going to be on Game Pass ASAP. That's the one takeaway. They now also answer to Phil Spencer and Microsoft. So Bobby was the boss. He's no longer the boss. Now, we'll talk about Bobby.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting. Now, some of the statements in the earnings call that we listened in on improved the live experience of our employees, says Satya. And, you know, they did these statements where like, we support the work Activision-Blizzard is doing to improve, and then saying, after the close, we will have significant work to do. And I would say the way it all came to me was just, you know, clown corporate bullshit statements. We all know that it's fucked, that Activision Blizzard's been trying to save its own ass. I think we can all, though, quite obviously understand that Activision-Blizzard are under new management now. I mean, it's the same management team, but they now have a level higher to report to. And I have to imagine that will have pretty significant consequences and implications for how all of the things are ran.
Almost certainly, especially when you think about what Phil was saying when it was, you know, we're reevaluating how we work with Activision-Blizzard and our partners in this stuff. Obviously, that's very tongue-in-cheek because, you know, a short time later, oh yeah, we bought them. You know, you kind of go, okay, did they go and buy them to solve the problems? Is Phil just putting all of gaming's problems on his back and carrying us? Probably not.
No.
It's definitely a business decision because there's no way he went to Satya and went, hey dude, can I have 70 billion? I just want to, you know, there's some people not been treated that well in this games company. I want to fix them. I imagine that's not how it happened. But at the same time, you know, we haven't really heard much in terms of anything bad from Xbox Studios. No. They seem to treat players right, and we can imagine they treat employees roughly right. I know there's some 343 stuff, but I don't think it was ever as bad as anything else we've like actually known about.
When it came to, and I do like doing this, also don't like doing this, but that bit where is the shit going to hit the fan for the customers, ultimately with Halo, and I know things haven't been ideal, but imagine if it came out when it was originally supposed to. So Microsoft were willing to delay what would have been the tentpole of the entire new console release for quality reasons. Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, almost certainly. So, like, the idea of that being the priority going forward, and, you know, like, if someone under Bobby makes a mistake, and it's, you know, just someone's like, oh yeah, some producers like, no, we won't shift that, we'll push it how it is, then that's no longer Bobby's problem, and we know Bobby goes, does it make money? Whatever. He clearly doesn't have that real investment in gaming as a complete whole.
Yeah.
But then, you know, is Phil going to hear that and say, Bobby, what the fuck, why'd you not stop that? Is that going to happen? I mean, I imagine they speak nicely to each other than that, but, you know, maybe.
I'd also think, I mean, remember when Jen O'Neill left?
Yeah.
Before we really learned why she left.
Yeah.
Now, the sort of statement that we got made it all seem very amicable.
Yeah.
So this is a situation where, sure, Bobby's still CEO. I don't know how long he's going to be, but before we talk about Bobby, are you excited? Are you pumped?
Yes.
Because I am so excited for the Metaverse.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Yep.
The word Metaverse was used a lot.
Multiple times.
By pretty much all participants of the call. I think maybe not the businessy person, but all of all the gamers. You know, gamers like Bobby. Boy, howdy, they love a good Metaverse. And it's that really fucking annoying thing. You know that whenever they use the word Metaverse, that is investor talk.
Yeah.
Because really, Metaverse, we kind of already know what that is in gaming. Now, that said, like, if I were a betting man, I would say that Blizzard probably is working on its own Metaverse-friendly, user-generated, content-friendly, playground, sandbox-friendly, Metaverse MMO RPG. I imagine it will probably have a really soft, approachable art style. You know, like if you were to take what Blizzard can do and then move it just a little bit more into the direction of a Pixar. I think that's something that's going to happen. I think something like Palia, because that game Palia, you know, looks great for what it is. Yeah. I think they're going to be doing something like that because they've done all of this Metaverse talk. And it's like, well, where's the fucking Metaverse? And then I think about Blizzard doing a Metaverse, and there's no fucking way they're going to do that with their existing IP. There's no way. There's no way there's going to be UGC in World of Warcraft or UGC in StarCraft unless they do some sort of, you know, skin creation program like what Bethesda do with the creation workshop-y bing, bing, wahoo, give us money thing. Sorry, I literally forgot what it's called. They're going to do that with an existing IP. Then they're going... Creative Club, that's it. Yeah. They're going to make a new IP, a new thing that is primarily designed for that.
Yeah.
And this sort of thing, this has been the talk in investor land for the longest time, everyone. Not longest time, like, you know it now is like the big trend, but this is something that people have been talking about for, like, you know, a few years. Because obviously, right, it's the trend starts one place, and then by the time we hear about it, it's been knocked about for a bit. And remember that Blizzard had been kicking off projects in an era where their mandate basically was, no, we're billion-dollar games. Look what Overwatch did for us. We need to make big games. So I think that Blizzard probably has some fucking big plays that have just, you know, perpetually been on that. This is a long way away because we need D4 and Overwatch 2. But I friggin' bet you that that Metaverse stuff is coming from Blizzard in-house and is not Activision. Because I think, look, it could be that some of these Activision studios are actually working on Metaverse stuff. But from what I understand from the state of Vanguard and the issues they've had with Call of Duty, it doesn't seem like they actually will have had time or, you know, free studio space or in those teams.
Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind is like there's no, for having so many developers, Activision clearly don't have any spare development resources.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be taking, you know, studios like Toys for Bob and going, you're Call of Duty now? You're like, we're called Toys for Bob? What do you mean? I mean, obviously, I just saw a joke they're going to be renamed Toys for Phil now, of course, but, you know, like they clearly don't have any development resources free. But then Blizzard, we're looking at Blizzard going, you have so many developers, where the fuck are your games?
I know, Bob just grew up. He has an AR now.
Christ. Yeah, so like obviously Overwatch 2's had development problems, stuff like that. World of Warcraft's team is in a big sort of question mark state where like you have how many developers and you're not actually making anything? What's going on?
Why are we getting yearly patches? Hello?
Yeah, but then you also look and you go, well, they do have other things that they've been talking about reliably. There's a lot of developers who were moved off World of Warcraft and sort of exist internally in Blizzard, but all like it's under Blizzard, not Team X, like publicly. They do have spare development resources, but you know, as to whether we'll see anything like that, I assume we'll see that soon enough.
Yeah. I will catch you guys in the blockchain hills.
Yeah.
Okay. Phil also talked about extending the way that they treat Microsoft employees to all Activision Blizzard staff.
Yeah.
That was the only part where you could feel there being a wee bit of a barb.
Yeah, there was a
I appreciated it greatly.
Yeah, it was a real tiny wink, wink, nudge, nudge moment from Phil. Whereas otherwise he can't say, oh yeah, Bobby, you're in this call. Well, you fucked up, didn't you? You can't. Obviously, there's no world where they say anything like that, but you can sort of feel it a little bit, especially if you compare what Phil's been saying recently to what he was saying now. You're like, we know what Phil thinks, and what he said in the conference call wasn't everything he thinks. Yeah.
The quarterly earnings call, though, this is the sad bit, everyone.
Yep.
One of the great events. We would get our quarterly earnings call, and we would get to see how many MAUs have they lost, and do they understand what's happening? And sadly, it will be rolled into Microsoft's earnings call, which is tragic. So, because of this, subscribe to our Patreon and get some real cool loot from our game art team, because that's 4 videos a year. We don't have any. I'm joking. Yeah. Now, what about Bobby? Well, here's the thing. Bobby's still going to serve. Bobby is still the CEO of Acti-Blizz. Him and his team will maintain their focus on driving efforts to further strengthen the company's culture and accelerate business growth. Once the deal closes, the Acti-Blizz business will report to Phil Spencer, CEO of Microsoft Gaming. So Bobby's still here for now. He directly answers to Phil. Now, here's the thing. Will he stay on? I mean, as Schreier put it, it's not 100% clear if Bobby will still be there after the ink dries in this deal, which, by the way, is fiscal year 2023. So that's basically from this April coming to next April. And that is actually pretty big because we'll talk about that in the Game Pass section. But we're not 100% sure. I would say, though, in all of these situations, it's what I brought up with Jen, they make it all managed and image controlled, right? Yeah. So if Bobby does go, it's not going to be announced anything like today. Yeah. No way. And it's going to be quiet after the deal is settled. They know they are going to take a hit on not really addressing these things as fully as they could. The other thing here, though, is, Microsoft, Riot.
Yes.
Big money. They have a lot of money.
They do.
100 mil to pay off the settlement. Pay the 100 mil, draw a line under it, do your big 5-year plan. By the way, check out our video on that. We published it yesterday. It's very interesting shit. They can just do the same. Like if the EEOC comes in and says, we want 300 million. Microsoft's just like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
We have people, I don't know, people have Office 365 subscriptions. But that's it. They have the capital. They don't give a shit about any of that. And actually, I wonder if they did have some sort of historic settlement to do, would they actually welcome that as, oh, well, image fixed,
Yeah,
let's go.
I mean, that's the thing. This is a very, very good point for Microsoft to go, we have money and we genuinely care, so we will settle. Maybe we'll even, throw some extra, an extra couple million into some other initiative at the same time and go, listen, we now have the direction to solve this now that Activision-Blizzard has oversight from Microsoft. So, we've basically adopted the redheaded stepchild of gaming, and we'll have them behave a little bit, and just been able to throw money at that and go, yeah, no, we care.
Yeah,
it's a win in every angle, I guess,
including this one. So this is a segment that we do regularly here. It's called Bobby Welfare Watch, where we look out, for dear sweet Bobby Kotick, the star of the movie Moneyball.
He needs more Skylander toys, like.
That's it. Bobby's got to buy Skylanders toys.
Yeah.
He's got to buy his FGO JPEGs, and because of that, we want to know, is Bobby going to be taken care of? And the answer here is, well, so if Bobby leaves because of death, he's getting $250 million. Now that may not be great for him. Now if it's disability, he gets an extra $1 million.
Nice.
So that's odd. Termination by Activision-Blizzard for cause. He only gets $250 million.
Yeah. To be fair, that's in benefits continuation, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's not cash in hand.
Termination by Acti-Blizz without cause or termination by employee for good reason, $265 million, and following a change of control, $292. So there is a nice little incentive for Bobby to basically sell the company and leave. There is that, and perhaps, again, one of the useful things to do here, we still have to treat people like people. And I don't mean this in some, let's have big empathy for Bobby. But if you actually apply a bit of empathy to Bobby's situation, regardless, he's probably had a headache for the last year.
Yeah.
He's probably not in his, peak of enjoyment and fulfillment in life.
No.
And maybe if this is on the cards and he's now thinking, well, what do I, Bobby Kotick, do next? Maybe now is the natural time for him to leave after 31 years.
Possibly.
Because I know that it's more fun to put some devil horns on him, and maybe Rory did for this video's thumbnail. Who the hell knows?
Almost certainly.
But if you think about Bobby, as an actual person with an inner life and all that shit, you can sort of start to think, well, what would he actually want to do? So maybe it will be time to leave. And as for what this means for Microsoft and Xbox, well, just, 400 million MAUs. Bing, bang, done. Yep. Access to battle.net. So, tell you what, the BNet launcher, I prefer it to the Xbox app.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like,
good launcher.
Yeah, maybe it's not designed in the prettiest way, but when you want a game from Battle.net, you say, can I have game? And it's there before you press the button. Whereas on the Xbox app, you press the button, go, oh, why is this not doing Windows 10 shit? What's the Microsoft Store? What's this got to do with it? Please help. Why does this not work? Why does it take me 6 hours to get it to work with the EA launcher for the EA Play integration? This is an awful fucking experience.
Why is it, in fact, a family of slightly connected apps?
Yeah, why does none of it just work? And then you go to beta and you're like, everything works almost flawlessly all the time.
But more importantly, I might get Jimmy, I might get Elijah, and I might get the Bandicoot.
Absolutely.
Not that Elijah Wood was Spyro in the heyday of Spyro, but here's the deal. As I covered earlier, Microsoft are doing this thing where they're like, hey, we want fucking gaming, get in me. And that means that they have this drive to basically go, get the niche communities. One of the things, if you remember, everyone, Epic Games, whenever they were doing the Epic Games Store exclusives, why did they go for fucking Phoenix Point? Not to shit talk Phoenix Point or whatever it was called. The game from your man, was it Julian Gollop, the XCOM dude? They did that because they were like, this is a niche of people. It's definitely not playing Fortnite. Now they're ours. Right? That's what they do. They try to get all of the little consumer segments. And if you look here, Microsoft, they've done Flight Sim, they've done AOE. We're now going to be thinking we were all on this big high of, oh my God, Crash is back. Oh my God, Tony Hawk is back. Holy shit, Spyro Trilogy. Could there be a new Spyro? Oh, and then obviously the calls, the duty calls.
The Call of Duty, like, machine just gobbled all the developers. Like, no,
Yep.
you don't get anything.
Duty calls, and you just got to unzip and friggin', I don't know, drain your life force into the Call of Duty machine. I don't know where this has went, but just that kind of depressing feeling, right, of all of this great development talent. Could you imagine being in Toys for Bob as like a senior concept artist, or one of those people who's going to be like super driven towards like just the how fucking gorgeous that Spyro game was, and then you're like, Warzone, you're doing Warzone skins. What? Right, so I think Microsoft are going to actually be really... I would bet that they will treat these IPs right, that we will get good shit here, and I think that's really cool. I mean, they've got pretty good RTS resources, and while the Age of Empires stuff has not been perfect for either Definitive Edition or AoE 4, I do think that the developers there have been... Like, they've been pretty reasonable. They've been communicative. They've been trying, And same goes with Halo even. I mean, obviously, that's the developers making the best of a bad situation that they then had to go and make the best of again. I commend them for the human effort involved in that. So I think this is great. Like, just the IP acquisition alone. So overall, I think that this is getting users, getting communities. It's also getting IP and staff. If we remember, for Activision-Blizzard, they had a plan. Was it 4,000 developers or something they wanted to hire? Or 2,000?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was, they basically just said, listen, developers. Our problem here is we do not have enough of them, and we cannot get them fast enough.
Yep.
And it was this like industry-wide thing of just people need devs. And the reason why they were happy enough to dispense with Bungie was that it freed up studios like High Noon.
Yeah.
Right. So that just makes you think, well, if that's what Activision-Blizzard were thinking about, surely Microsoft will think about that. And Microsoft Game Studios has got to compete with Sony, whatever the hell they call their, group of first-party studios. Yeah. So this overall means that they are third in revenue in gaming after Tencent and Sony. Tencent, big beans. Game Pass, big growth. COD, Diablo on cloud, those are mentioned. So good thing about COD Mobile and Diablo Immortal, which obviously I think are going to be high monetizers anyway, and that's actually massive for Microsoft, who do not have a strong... I mean, it's mobile and Microsoft. Yep. They bought Nokia, they tried Microsoft Phone, which, by the way, a lot of really cool innovations that obviously didn't pan out, but they did cool shit there. But yeah, mobile was never a strong thing for them. Now they own King. They own Candy Crush. They own all that. And here is the Xbox gamers, which no offense to the models who did this, but one of the things that we enjoy is just a good excited gamer stock photo. They always just are like, yeah, let's go games. Yeah, I mean, if you take a screen, I was going to say if you take a screenshot of me gaming, it doesn't work like that. I look like the most bored person in existence because you're just sitting, you're sitting there, you've got like Vanaz theme, you're maybe in the Mother Crystal fight or Endsinger or something, and your heart's exploding, but you're just like, yeah. So anyway, yes, I love things when they are made for investor, investor calls. Now,
Indeed.
Is this good for the industry? What does it mean? Well, so, all hail benevolent dictator Phil Spencer. And that's the weird thing.
That's how it feels.
Phil is likable. Seemingly, Phil makes pretty damn good decisions. Seemingly, Phil isn't in the business of selling us down the river.
Yep.
Seemingly, Phil doesn't want to bend us over with loot boxes.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
But then, well, now Phil does own Candy Crush.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I find interesting. Basically, everything that Xbox have done since he took the helm has been for the customer.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been for the business via being for the customer, but considering the amount of things you can do for the business via being against the customer, it's you do look and go, well, is it really a bad thing if Phil Spencer makes all of the decisions in video games? Outside of, it may be getting a bit tiring for him to do that at some point. But if his philosophy that's clear with Xbox is guiding, hey, everyone gets to play sick games. We don't piss them off with bullshit in any of them.
Halo customization.
Yeah. But it's, we go to where the user are. the users are. We give them a great experience and they'll give us money back. We'll figure out how to monetize maybe in the future, but we're in growth mode.
Yeah, and it's funny with even Halo Infinite. It's a great example of a game it's monetized in this strange way that I don't actually think works for payers.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you are the type of person who wants to be a swiper in a free-to-play game, I don't actually think the rewards in Infinite are good enough for you to be a swiper.
Definitely not.
So that's the weird thing of that game.
Yeah, which is, is that them being kind of nicer by not hyper-juicing it? Or is it them just being incompetent, not being able to do that?
Yeah.
That's one of the things, because they don't have experience with it. It's hard to know. Like, are they being nice or are they being stupid? That's the kind of question you have to ask. Because you look at the ones that do it really well, you're like, this is a great experience whenever I'm paying, but when I'm not, it feels shit.
Yeah, so
it's hard to know.
Here's the thing. Growth.
Yep.
At some point, that growth has to turn into revenue. And what happens if that point happens, or whenever the CEO of Microsoft Gaming is no longer a guy called Phil Spencer, who has so far made great decisions? So this is where it gets into the murky situation. Already, a lot of people are saying, hello, antitrust? This seems like a lot of consolidation in the market. So people are already saying that. But what happens when, okay, now it's time to, because they know they're behind. The PS5 has outsold them, so they've got all of that. They're still recovering really from being so on the back foot with the Xbox, with the Xbox One. That I think they're being more reasonable to us under this new direction. Yeah. But I just worry, what if it changes? Yep. They take all of this ground, and almost like if you're playing Plague Inc., you spread your thing across the world, and then you're like, okay, the growth phase of my plan is done. Yeah. I finally fucking got Madagascar. Now it's time to invest in, deadly pathology. And I guess Plague Inc. is a bit of a weird analogy to use, but I suppose this is a gaming channel and many of us have played Plague Inc. And that is actually precisely my worry.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Hey, everyone, really nice. Everyone join our big, happy, great family and now drink the Kool-Aid. That's effectively what I think is the big fear there. And that reminded me about Phil Spencer, because it wasn't that long ago that he actually talked about lining up a successor.
Yeah.
Because obviously, apparently Xbox have been pushing him towards that. The way VGC talk about it. But, he's been there for like 30-something years. It's got to outlive him. So the question is, will he be able to instill in his successor the values that we're, hey, we're not doing this just for growth. This is our strategy. When we have to turn the knob of monetization up, we do it by providing value. We just provide a different sort of value than we're doing now. Or will his successor just go, I just do what everyone else did and get the wallet milking machines running now that everyone's wallets are, firmly in our grasp.
Yeah.
It's hard to know. It's very, very, very scary stuff overall, I think, honestly.
It's bloody big, and it's quite funny because there was one point, I think Bobby talked about the launch of the Xbox in 2001. Yeah. And we just thought that was quite funny because, of course, Microsoft were labeled a monopoly by the US government in 2001. Now, obviously, this is in the Gates era. And, they got a bit of it. They got the slap there. Obviously, the European Union gave them a giga slap. Yeah. We all remember that big slap. So, So for some other details then, there's some of their numbers. More talking about numbers in their innovation pipeline. Diversified across platforms, geographies, and business models. Yeah, they have Candy Crush. They have they are a global leader in FPS. Fuck me sideways. Microsoft is a global leader in the Battle Royale genre. Microsoft is a global leader in the first-person shooter, arcade, Call of Duty, whatever the fuck you call it genre. Microsoft is a market leader in the MMORPG space. Microsoft is a global leader in the role-playing game space via Bethesda.
And Playground working on Fable.
Yeah.
And Obsidian.
Yeah. Embracer Group's going to really have to find some spare change.
Yeah, they're going to have to get some AAA instead of AA for a change, maybe. But
yeah, and of course they have this whole "you are the center of gaming," which, of course, if you're thinking about World of Warcraft lore and what they've recently done with the cosmology chart is kind of funny. But yeah, right, $95 a share. Big, big business. That's basically the situation. What do we think this means overall? Look, Call of Duty is going to be on Game Pass.
Yep. For sure.
World of Warcraft might be on Game Pass. Diablo certainly will be. As for
will
World
be.
of Warcraft, I mean, number one, hey, if you want to do well, hire Monk, the developer of console port. We worked with him, actually, for our WoW add-on that got canned by lawyers. But he was great working on console stuff. Blizzard themselves have added console controller support to World of Warcraft natively in Shadowlands. Now, there's no fucking UI for it.
Yeah.
So you have to get console port, the add-on by Monk. But, I mean, fucking feasibly, right?
It's
Like
feasible.
it's a DX11 game. It's not like the consoles are running a screwy architecture.
Yep.
Just put WoW on an Xbox. Done. All those people who have maybe wanted to stream WoW on their phone, now you don't have to play some random shitty Gameloft mobile MMORPG.
Yeah, you don't have to play World of Kings anymore.
Yes.
Yep.
That's because that's me. I've been forced to play World of Kings for years. Oh, it's been awful. No, so like that's big. That's big. What if your WoW sub ends up like, I mean, holy shit, the ultimate beneficiary here. Imagine if ESO Plus and the WoW subscription both get bundled in, because that's the crazy thing. You probably thought I meant World of Warcraft when I said global leader in MMORPG.
Yep. So.
Dear viewer, Matt knew what I was on about.
Yep.
But fuck, man, they own ESO as well.
Yeah, which is just it's something else to have control of so many things. And you can't help but think, I think this is the thing about Game Pass. They're just going to make Game Pass so utterly irresistible, like Netflix was before the great sundering of all forms of video content ended up across 100 different platforms. But Game Pass is primed to be the Netflix of games in not just the streaming angle, but the angle of, yeah, if you want content, it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, and recently I did actually try out Netflix's attempt to be the Netflix of games.
Oh, was it bad?
Fucking embarrassing.
Not a surprise. Not a surprise. I think it can go one way. I think you can go from games to video, but not video to games in any capacity. There's just too much extra. But there's something I was good. Yeah, it was because even like for the patient gamer, they've long been the winners at everything.
Oh yeah.
Because they just get games at 40% the price, and they're all fixed.
Watch Mandalore Gaming. He'll review a game 3 or 4 years after it comes out, and you'll be like, great, I'll buy it. And you have a brilliant time.
Yeah, but now the patient gamer is actually that archetype of, oh, I'll wait for it to be on a 70% sale, buy it, and then play it when it's finished or when it's fixed. That's being made completely like irrelevant by Game Pass. Death's Door, I believe that's a Devolver game. If I'm thinking of the right one, that's the Devolver little Souls-like game that was out, I want to say maybe summer 2021.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, that looks really cool, but I haven't gotten around to playing it. I was going to play it the other day, and then I saw the price on Steam. I was like, it's 17 quid. Maybe I'll wait. And then it's on Game Pass this month. And that has now happened to me more times than I remember, where I'm like, maybe I'll buy this as Game Pass. Oh, yeah. Glad I waited 3 months, 6 months, as opposed to the year or 2 years you used to have to wait as a patient gamer. Now it's just, if you want the value experience, you go to Game Pass.
Yeah.
If you want the exclusive content from Activision, well, possibly Activision, Blizzard, or Bethesda, you go to Game Pass, or to Xbox if you're on console. It's insane.
And for indies,
oh yeah,
I mean,
you
like,
just go there as well.
If, like, as an example, look, if we can get The Pale Beyond on Game Pass, I would support that entirely. Yeah. I mean, obviously there'd be like the revenue component, and that'd be really nice to have that security for everybody, you know, it would be great for the team. But also because it's like, holy shit, you get exposure to so many people.
Yep.
Like they say, you know, your game goes in Game Pass, your Steam sales go up.
Yeah.
Mike Gross has been talking about that and his experience with, I mean, as an example, like Yes, Your Grace. I mean, I don't know if we're a higher budget than Yes, Your Grace, but we're probably there and abouts or something. And it's like, well, shit, look how good it was for that game. I mean, man. So that's the thing. From all that I hear, Microsoft are pretty awesome to work with for indies. I haven't really heard any indies. I mean, I've heard the concerns that we've all shared of like, does this devalue gaming? Like, does this devalue a game and create this sort of situation where, you know, like basically the value proposition from consumer to game gets really messed up because Microsoft, in its pursuit of growth, pumps so much money in to give you such an absurd deal that, you know, is it sustainable? Does this mean that the game that doesn't get in Game Pass is kind of like by default punished? So I've heard a lot of indies, that's one concern that a lot of us share. But like, aside from that, actually, from what I hear of people working with Microsoft, the deals that came to and stuff, like, they seem to be a great partner. Yeah. So it's just that weird thing of like, it's kind of all good.
Yeah, right now.
Unless Phil 2 is not good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Microsoft is subsidized, so the developer and the user get a great experience entirely. And there's no way to deny that.
Yeah.
Like, that's just literally true. I'd say, maybe they could have made the Game Pass app a little bit less difficult to work with, but they're improving that over time. You're like, there is no reason not to be a Game Pass subscriber if you play a bunch of video games. That's basically the closest thing to a fact we can have in the industry at the minute. Yeah. And that's why this news has been lauded so much by people who, because obviously there's a lot of people who are really deep into Activision-Blizzard because of the World of Warcraft side of things. And I've seen so much positivity. I was like, oh yeah, Phil, fix it. That's it. Phil, fix all the problems.
I've seen loads of Blizzard employees just tweeting like, what? Yeah. What? Yep. So like, I think that's really all we can talk about for now. Yeah. I think there is going to be a fallout to this. We are going to get more stuff. I think people are going to speak to the press. We will see what happens. So definitely keep your eyes peeled to the channel. I also have a special little report that I want to do on Microsoft and their whole reward system and how, Game Pass has dailies that tie into Bing searches. And all of that insanity. Yeah. But there's so much going on. So look, stay tuned to the channel if you want to support the work that we do and also get some sweet loot in your post box, amongst other things. You can check out the Patreon. And really, that's it for.
Well, there's only one small little update that just came in here.
Breaking news.
So this is from a Bloomberg source. Microsoft plans to keep making some of Activision's games for PlayStation consoles, but will also keep some content exclusive to Xbox, said a person familiar with the company's thinking.
And that actually does, there was a point I forgot to bring up.
Yeah.
We can talk about Game Pass growth till the cows come home, but ultimately selling games makes you a lot of money.
Yeah.
So with, is Call of Duty going to be pulled away from PlayStation, or are they just going to say, hey, if you're on PlayStation, we'll sell you Call of Duty because we want money?
Yep.
But look how good this deal is. Game Pass day one. Yep. Oh, you got Game Pass for free with your super noodles?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's that aspect too. Microsoft, I think, cross-publishing is just going to be about, can they get enough revenue from PlayStation users to make it worth sacrificing the extra growth potential of shifting people over.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably talk more about Sony and what this means for them in a later stage, because we have a plan for a video soon enough, which is discussing, I guess, this whole thing as a trend, how it impacts industry, how it impacts us, and how it impacts Sony going forward. So likely be tomorrow or the day after that.
How about we start acquiring companies and putting them on our Patreon?
That sounds good. That sounds great. That sounds great.
I have a few spare mugs. Some bottles of water. We could use those. Maybe acquire a few. I don't really know if we have a good enough position.
Don't think so.
But it's the way things are going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it? Absolutely. So wild stuff. We are, I think, entering sort of uncharted territory, because this is just like Electronic Arts getting purchased. In the past, we used to frame things in terms of COD versus Battlefield. We used to frame some of these things as like, oh, it's the battle of the multi-plat third-party publishers. And now that game is changing. There are fewer multi-platform, third-party publishers. I would say, though, there is one company just sneaking in the side. That is Embracer Group.
Of course.
Nobody talks about them nearly enough, us included. They have made even more acquisitions in the space, and we will talk about them soon enough too.
Yep.
So that's it, right?
I can't believe it. I still can't believe Activision-Blizzard bought by Microsoft. I really wish I could communicate just my experience to seeing the rumor, trying to find anything out about it, and then seeing it confirmed 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand.
That's the thing, Siri. Neither do I. I haven't a goddamn clue.
And on that note, have a great day. See you next time.